G'day viewers, congratulations to you, you've made it to the end of another week, and that means it's time for Totally Fucked Up Friday.
Totally fucked up!
Yes, Totally Fucked Up Friday. And so much has happened this week, I saw so many things that I want to talk about. I probably won't talk about all, but this could well be a really epic TFU. Let's get going. Look, there's a few things that happened in Australia that I am keen to talk about, and one was a very interesting thing. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull went hard against opposition leader Bill Shorten, because Bill Shorten had been painting Turnbull as an out-of-touch multimillionaire with his harbourfront mansion, doesn't understand the ordinary Australians, you know, because all of that's factual statements, and he'd been scoring points, and Turnbull had been seen really weak and wishy-washy, and he just kind of exploded in question time on Wednesday, and went for Bill Shorten, and it seemed like Christopher Pyne was actually passing him notes saying, say this about him, and he called Shorten a hypocrite and a social climber and sucking up to millionaires when he was in the unions, and his backbenchers went crazy, cheering and clapping like they literally haven't, like I think, ever for him, and a huge number of people in the media going, oh, this is a big win for Turnbull. Go, look, and I get, with his own backbench, it made them feel good to see Turnbull aggressively attacking Shorten. And for people who are diehard liberals who want to see Shorten get a bit angry and antsy, sure, that's a win, but you don't need those people. When you've just had a survey come out that said you're 10% behind Labor if an election was held today, you need to get people who aren't thinking of voting for you, not your core. And this whole attack on Shorten was basically, you're not as good as me. Oh, you wish you were me, but you're not, you dirty little oik. It was bizarre. It was so classist and obnoxious. All the cognoscenti are like, oh, this is a big win for Turnbull. He's just basically said, know your place, you fucking pleb. And honestly, that's the vast majority of Australia compared to Turnbull. So I'm completely at a loss as to how they think this is some major win for him. Again, if you're the core of the Liberal Party, I get why you like it, and I don't hold it against you. Like some people are saying, like, oh, you're all saying that's offensive and awful that Turnbull said these things about Shorten. Oh, you weren't upset when Julia Gillard gave her sexism speech accusing Tony Abbott. Well, the two aren't remotely comparable at all. For a start, the sexism speech was about a much more serious issue. And second, I mean, I can't believe I have to say this, but I mean, he is a hideous fucking sexist. You could be all for Turnbull scoring points against Shorten, but that's just political point scoring, and that's well and good. But to say it's the same as Gillard calling out Abbott for his ridiculous offensive sexism. It's like the fucking Clue Train, people. Buy a ticket for it one day. You might learn something. Oh God, and speaking about the federal government, we'll go, a hack of theirs is appointed to head the National Broadband Network, which was a good policy that the previous Labor government came up with, but they fucked up the implementation of it, so it hadn't been rolled out. So when the Liberals won the election, they could nobble it. And this really pisses me off. See, when people say like, oh, but this is bad. No, it was basically all good. Yes, it would cost money. So do roads, so do hospitals, so do schools. And this would have been about building Australia's future. But the fucking libs, just because it was a Labor policy, they had to say it was bad. And Turnbull certainly knows it was good policy. It was good for Australia. It was good for the economy. It was good for business. And it's fucked to destroy it, but they have destroyed it. And that they continue to fail to deliver anything meaningful to the Australian public with fast internet. And the guy who's actually been appointed by the libs as the head of the NBN said at a presentation, oh, you know what? People don't want fast internet. They just don't. The fact that, you know, we've had this doubling in complaints about how shit our service is, it's not relevant. People don't even want fast internet. And he actually said if we gave people super fast internet for free, they wouldn't want it. What sort of fuckwit says something that stupid. How does this guy still have a job? I mean, I know he's a political hack, but to say something that stupid, what the fuck? This is why I get angry about politics. When people, and it's no one side of politics that has a monopoly on this, but this is a class example of, in the name of politics, saying something so insultingly stupid. It's just like, I got it would be wrong to grab this guy around the throat and choke the life out of him, but I won't say the thought didn't pass through my head when I read about this. This is absolutely ridiculous, and this is the sort of bullshit we have to put up with in Australia. Oh God, speaking of bullshit in Australia, there's this fabulous video that I will give you a link to. For some reason, a Labor guy, Sam Dastyari, was hanging out with some One Nation types where they're talking, and he was arguing with them. I suppose it was meant to be entertaining. And One Nation, like all fucking right-wingers around the world at the moment, are mad fucking Vladimir Putin lovers, which is absolutely surreal. Having grown up as a lefty and been berated about, you can't ever say anything good about Russia because they're evil. It's the evil empire. And, Putin was the head of the KGB under the Soviets, and he is an absolute autocrat, murders opponents. Every time I bring this up, fucking Russian bloody astroturfers come into the comments, so they'll probably come in on this one. I don't fucking care, guys. Prove it. Well, he's a bit fucking sneaky about murdering people. He doesn't pose for the camera while he poisons people, okay? For fuck's sake, you fucking munted fucks. But that's the Russians. The Australians who are munted fucks. One Nation. Pauline Hanson. Malcolm Roberts going on about how much they love Putin. Does my head in. He's like old school Soviet evil empire dude, but the right-wingers suddenly love him because, I don't know, they just want to fucking kill anyone they don't like, as far as I can tell. And Sam Dastyari's losing it. Like, he's a murderer. He's a tyrant. He's implicated in the shooting down of the passenger jet. And Hanson's response was actually, oh, well, everyone's done something. Who fucking says that? What you said about, why do you defend someone who's responsible for this sort of killing? Just go, oh, everybody does something. It's like, that's how fucking people say, oh, you should engage with One Nation or One Nation pod. No, not when they're that fucking stupid. I won't waste my energy. And oh my God, the moment she said that, Sam Dastyari's response, it's just like, Sam was everyone at that point. The utter frustration of dealing with that level of fuckwittery, it's just perfectly expressed with how he reacted. It's just, oh my God. And again, look, it's not like Australia has a monopoly on fuckwittery. We have great fuckwits, as in horrible fuckwits. But it's like, and of course, my favourite topic of world fuckwit is, of course, the Trump administration in the US. And there was some pretty friggin' amazing ones. Like, he keeps getting told by people that his Muslim ban, which is a ban but isn't a ban and isn't about Muslims, but obviously is about Muslims, it's about catering his base. It's all terrorism, except it's targeting countries where no terrorist has killed Americans from those countries. Like, none of it makes any sense, but he's just going for cheap points, and he gets upset when he gets told it's unconstitutional, as it clearly is. And the case has got as far as that, like, the second highest court in the US, I think it's called the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court, where a panel of judges, including one appointed by George W. Bush, 3-0 said, no, this is unconstitutional. You made it clear what your aim was with this, and it's unconstitutional. You can't do it. And then Trump tweets in all caps, I'll see you in court. It's like, and the all caps tweeting is like, we had too long, I think, where we lived in a world where the world's biggest nuclear arsenal was not in control of a psychotic child. I think we deserve to lie awake at night worrying about someone that temperamental having control of the most powerful arsenal and armed forces in the world. We had too many years of just thinking someone else was going to get killed. It's time to go back to the good old days of the 80s and the Cold War and thinking we're all going to die. So there is that. But you got to look at the light side when he's going, I'll see you in court. that he was saying to judges in a court. I just wonder if the judges, when they said, Trump's response to our court handing down this decision is, I'll see you in court. Did the judges... Does he know what a court is? Does he know what a judge is? Does he know anything? Because this is just surreal. And, my favourite thing I saw, a bunch of lawyers on Twitter trolling Trump, basically saying like, no, look, that makes it look like you want to represent yourself. Don't do that. You should not appear in this case because you're not up to it. You don't have the intelligence, you don't have the stamina, you're old and weak, and this would be too much for you. Only the greatest minds can do this. You aren't that sort of great. Basically, negging him in the hope that he'd do something spectacularly stupid. Now, I don't think even Trump's that stupid or that willful, but it's fun to think he could be, that he could utterly humiliate himself. And it's like, well, who says lawyers don't have a sense of humour? I found that bit particularly funny. And there's a whole thing like, if I bring this up, also, we've got to protect ourselves from the terrorists. In this whole argument, there are two things that really bother me. First, how bad people are at risk assessment and how bad they are at looking at cause and effect. It's like, okay, you are worried about terrorism, Islamic extremism. Those are scary things. There are definitely people in the world who want to do evil. There are people who are using their religion as an excuse to say, I can legitimately go out and murder people. Okay, it's fucked. They are real, they are dangerous. When you are taking steps to deal with it, this is me being crazy and logical. I'd be like, okay, if you want to expose your people to less risk, you should analyze the situation and say, will this action create more risk or less risk? And this goes back to Obama and Bush and everyone. It's like, if I drone strike civilians, will that make me more or less likely to get a terrorist response? If I demonize all Muslims, including the people from countries where no terrorist has come from them to attack Americans in America. He didn't even target the countries like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan where the terrorists actually came from. No, he targets countries where that hasn't happened. It's like, when you persecute people like that, when you demonize them, when you become this great enemy to them, does that make it more likely or less likely that some extremist is going to think they have justification to attack you? I feel like that question's not being asked. And also, risk assessment, the whole, I'm terrified of Islamic extremists killing you. And as I said, I understand. That is a scary concept. But in terms of actual risk assessment, and this sounds like a joke whenever anyone says it, but it isn't a joke. It's a statistical reality. In the US, you are statistically significantly more likely to be killed by a toddler with a gun than you are by an Islamic extremist. That is the sort of death that happens in America. And politically motivated extremist terrorists that do attacks, the most dangerous ones in America are right-wing white supremacists. That is who is most likely to kill you. That is who has killed the most people in America. That is who is the most dangerous today. This is not saying Islamic extremism is not a thing, because it is, and it needs to be dealt with. But if you want to be safer, you have to use your fucking brain, do some proper risk assessment, and analyze cause and effect. I just want to close with the words of one lawmaker from Pennsylvania in the US. Where there's one of those things when you first see it, you go, that's too good to be true. I think that's fake news. But you research it, and it's true. And it came out of some lawmakers are trying to stop cops doing what's called asset forfeiture, which sounded like a good idea. I have talked about this before. It's like, we'll punish drug dealers by not just arresting them, but taking all their assets and their family assets. And basically, police forces all over the US have abused this horrifically to where they just pull people over and take their shit. If you have money in the car, if you have it, they'll just take it and say, I think that's the proceeds of drugs, I'm taking it. And it's really fucking difficult to get it back. You have to go to court, it costs you a fortune. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a fucking shakedown scam, and it's a really widespread problem, and lawmakers are finally starting to turn on it. And it came up when Trump was in a meeting with some cops. I forget exactly what it is, but one of them mentioned something about, oh, we don't like how these guys are going after us for asset forfeiture and stopping us. And Trump jokingly said, oh, give me his name, I'll ruin his career. Now, I'm not going to go too over the top, because I'm going to say that was just a joke. Trump's palling around with the cops, and it's just like, he's not really going to destroy someone's career for standing up for their constituents. I mean, despite all the evidence that they might. I'm not going to, go into too much hyperbole, but one Pennsylvania lawmaker wasn't having any of this shit, and he just came out and said, you know what, Trump, I'm against asset forfeiture. Come after me as well. And I shit you not, this is actually what he said. He said, come after me, you fascist, loofah-faced shit gibbon.